Good evening and many thanks for joining us. This is Business Today. My name is Jerome Paul Sonko with Winnie Wins and Akauchi on sign language. Now we do kick it off with the South Africa-Uganda Business Forum. Well, the South Africa and Uganda Business Summit that started yesterday at the Gallagher Convention Center in South Africa has attracted over 300 delegates. The summit that convened under the theme boosting trade and investment relations between South Africa and Uganda has attracted delegates comprising representatives from government agencies and the private investors from the two countries. Now, Samuel Kirimunda compiled the report regarding day 2, which included the visit of President Museveni.
The second day of the summit witnessed the two heads of state sign a memorandum of understanding in industry, tourism, transport and ICT. While addressing delegates on the second day, President Ramaphosa urged President Museveni to help them overcome the challenge of electricity blackouts, which has hindered industrial production. South Africa has been experiencing inconsistencies in their power supply, and President Ramaphosa believes that his partnership with Uganda would help overcome their problem following the memorandum of understanding that was signed by both heads of state.
His Excellency President Museveni, to convey to him that South Africa remains keen on investing in Uganda, and particularly in a number of sectors in banking, retail, telecommunications. We hope that Ugandan businesses will also find their way in investing in South Africa for the mutual benefit of our two countries. As we speak now, the business leaders from both South Africa and Uganda are involved in a business forum, which both of us will visit later and address as well.
His Excellency Ramaphosa called upon delegates to practice Pan-Africanism, which will enable continuity in the cooperation, thereby causing development.
To resolve the issues that impede economic growth and development between our two countries, and we've agreed that our two trade ministers will need to be engaged to put in place a mechanism that will ensure matters such as the protection of investment in our respective countries.
President Ramaphosa also urged the participants to tap into the various investment opportunities in agriculture, tourism, oil and gas, healthcare, transport and logistics that will act as a key driver in enhancing development in the two countries. In his speech, President Museveni pledged to address the issue of value addition in agriculture and education so as to boost exports through the concept of Pan-Africanism.
Our understanding of prosperity comes from two lines. Line 1, education for all. And I want to congratulate ANC. I'm told that you are educating all these South Africans, giving them a modern education. In Uganda, they are trying, but the greed overcomes them. They go back to charge money for the poor people. Then I fight. So we are still fighting for we call it UPE, Universal Primary Education, Universal Secondary Education. It's not fully implemented. So that's one line. You wake up people through education. But the second line is you produce goods and services and you sell them. Now, the moment you know that in order to be prosperous, one line is education, but the other line is producing a good or a service and selling it. Then the next question is, who will buy your good or your service? In Uganda, they thought they were believing in tribalism, in religious sectarianism, and we were laughing at them. So, but what you are believing in is a hoax. But they were believing that because they were asleep. They didn't know how to get prosperity. Now, when they woke up a bit and they started producing goods and services, They found that they needed the Uganda market, 44 million people. But soon they found that the Uganda market is not even enough. They needed the East African market, they needed the African market.
He also promised to promote manufacturing in the country. Samuel Chirimunda compiled this story.
All right, now let's talk statistics as the annual inflation drops to 9.8%. The annual headline inflation for 2023 has dropped to 9.8%, up from the 10.4% that was recorded for the year ending January 2022. Isaac Lubega, the Director of Economic Statistics at the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, says that although commodity prices are still high, the rate at which they are rising has slowed down. We have more in this report.
The annual headline inflation for 2023, as measured by the Consumer Price Index, has dropped to 9.8%, up from 10.4% that was recorded for the year ending January 2022. This practically means that the rate at which commodity prices are rising is slowing down. According to Aliziki Lwega, the Director of Economic Statistics at Uganda Bureau of Statistics, this allows Ugandans who had stopped purchasing some of the goods to re-enter them on the shopping list.
Since it has a bit slowed the rate at which it is increasing, for example, registered at 9.2, if you are, it means that it will leave for you some space to start adjusting upwards for the items that you had already left because the rate was so high, prices were so high. When they start coming down, you also now start to bring back those that you had signed off the list.
The month-to-month inflation, on the other hand, fell to a single digit of 0.1%, up from 0.2% in February compared to 0.2% in January 2023.
The inflation has decelerated, is decreasing, but not at a faster declining rate like it was last month. And she has also shown you the likely causes.
According to them, this was attributed to annual energy fuel and utilities, especially fuel, whose inflation dropped to 2.8% in February 2023, up from 4.3% recorded in January 2023.
Specifically, we are saying that petrol, we realized there was a drop in petrol, recorded at 2.8%, compared to a drop in petrol that we recorded in the month of January.
Looking at annual food crop and related items inflation, Matoke registered a drop to 61.0%, up from 72.4%. Annual maize flour inflation dropped to 53.3%, up from 90.8%, as well as laundry that as well dropped to 21.5%, up from 51.4%. Bedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now, furthermore, as we continue, now we look at the Karamoja Iron Sheet saga. The Speaker of Parliament, Anita Ann Among, has refuted the claims that she's not one of the beneficiaries of the iron sheets that were meant for the Karamoja region. The Speaker clearly states that she saw iron sheets in her district, but she did not ask for them, and so she ordered that they be taken to the government schools. We have more in this report.
Member of Parliament.
As the investigations into the mismanagement of relief items meant for the Karamoja region gets to day 2, the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Mong, has cleared her name in the matter of the iron sheets. The Speaker says she did not ask for the iron sheets for her district, but when she saw them, she ordered that they be given to government schools.
I saw iron sheets in Bukedea. I did not ask for them, but I ordered that they should be given to schools. Innocently. I did not open a shop, sell them, but they were given to schools, government schools.
Stopping them from supplying the goods.
The Speaker also adds that the Committee of Presidential Affairs was allocated 2 weeks to investigate this matter and bring a clear report on why there was a diversionary of these relief items and that everybody should carry their own cross in this matter.
Let's not go on diversionary. The member or the minister who is responsible for Karamoja is there. If there was any diversion, it is not anybody's fault. So I don't want other ministers to be pulled into what they are not concerned. Let everybody carry his own cross. Let's wait for a report to come back from the committee, and this House will take a decision.
The Member of Parliament of Kira Municipality, Honorable Semujunganda, has requested that Speaker take Parliament into another 2 weeks recess as they await the report on this matter, because most of the ministers are implicated and others have decided not to show up in Parliament.
The whole cabinet from Prime Minister involved in that crime of disappearing iron sheets for Karamoja. That government cannot come here and speak. Maybe, Madam Speaker, my suggestion, you suspend Parliament for 2 weeks. When that report comes and we deal with that problem of industrial scale, then we can, because I imagine, will the Prime Minister stand there or the deputies? And they want to address Parliament. Madam Speaker, I want to implore you, we will not die if you suspended Parliament for 2 weeks. And the first business of this Parliament is discussing the theft and disappearing of iron sheets and goats for Karamoja.
On the other hand, the mayors from the Karamoja region have put the blame on government for exhibiting laxity in the issues of Karamoja for a long time. According to these, issues of cattle rustling, hunger, among others, are the order of the day in this region, and yet the people meant to protect their interests are now stealing from them.
With keen interest from the beginning, we should not be here discussing issues of people have stolen our units, people have taken our goods. Were we born to be mandated to be given goods by government? No. We are mandated to be protected by government so that our people, their livelihood is protected. And as a result, I want this committee to wake up and inform the president. I think somebody is deceiving the head of state that the research in Karamoja is normal. Every day, raids are like meals in Karamoja. If you don't eat today, you will eat tomorrow.
The Committee of Presidential Affairs has only 2 weeks to complete the investigations of the Karamoja saga and report back with a conclusive report on this matter. Samlanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now, and many thanks for sticking around to Business Today. Meanwhile, now let's talk entertainment, industry, tax, and the obligations from the perspective of the stakeholders, and how best you can and can benefit from this particular one. And this particular round, we head direct to the National Theatre, where we're going to be talking more about the entertainment industry, the business in that, tax, and the obligations of those who are the stakeholders of the industry. And joining us this evening, we do have Emma Carlos Molondo, who is a seasoned entertainment practitioner and talent manager. Good evening, sir, and many thanks for joining us.
Oh, good evening. How are you? Yeah, fabulously good. Doing it for business. Let me first get appreciate 24 for including and identifying the culture and creative industries, which we call the entertainment industry, the film, music industry, to give it a slot in such prime time. My name is Emmanuel Molondo, also known as Emma Carlos. I've been in this industry managing talent directly until recently when I went into arts administration for 20 years. The challenges from my experience are summarized into 4 aspects. One is access to capital, and then 2, the policies and legislations are not favorable for the business environment to thrive. And then the other one is access to equipment, and then the whole vibe of Uganda not appreciating service. We're in the service industry. Someone will appreciate when you give them a phone, but they won't appreciate the fact that you go through hell to create content. That's a song, a film, or write a book, especially music. When a person consumes it at the end of the value chain, they don't know that it's someone else's input and they need to earn. So those are the 4 aspects. Access to capital, the laws and policies are not favorable. That's why we're advocating for them, for the copyright amendment of the copyright. And then 2, there's access to capital, the legislations and policies, access to equipment, and then the market hasn't really started appreciating service. Those are the 4 major challenges in the culture and creative industry right now.
We had 2 dates.
True.
From the 10th of February, then we had the other on the 24th of February. Where that's, by the look of business here, first of all, people were counting the losses that Fenway had to the car. Little did we ask about Chameleon. When you look at the department of contact, then the stakeholders, where does this position our kind of business, and in regards to maybe the insurance cover that we need. But once such occurrences come up, how does the artist get back?
Let's first look at the key stakeholders in a concert like Gwanga Muje. There's a promoter who was called Biggie Events, who bought off the organizing rights from Jose Chameleon, who's the artist. And then we have the production house, Fenon, which did the production. That is stage lights and and sound. Then we have the key stakeholders, the fans, and then we also had the sponsors. There was Club, there was Coca-Cola, and then media houses. So all these people combine to give us a memorable concert. So when on the day of catastrophe happened, all of them were set back. But I would like to commend Chameleon for being a man of a resilient man and a man of steel. Between 12th and 24th, he was able to keep with other key players in the industry and the media. With the backing of the media, we were able to keep the concert alive. Biggie didn't lose hope. Big Event didn't lose hope. The sponsors didn't go away. But what do we learn from that experience? That we need to start going for insurance. I don't know what kind of insurance package that is, but we need to go for insurance. I haven't gotten really time to get into divulging too much insurance, especially in the entertainment side. But I think there must be a product or a service or a policy, an insurance policy for such a catastrophe.
And now let's look at the issue of taxation. Do you believe it's is the growing entertainment industry, for example, the reason behind URA's approach now to directly tax the content creators and the stakeholders in there? And how valuable is the entertainment industry now if you're to compare it with the early 2000s?
First of all, let me first relay through the National Cultural Forum, our stand when it comes to taxation. We want to pay taxes, and a couple of other people have been paying taxes. The kind of taxes we pay, I have learned from specialists from URA that we are obliged to pay VAT, which comes value-added tax, like for ticketing. Each ticket you sell, you have to pay 18%. Then we're supposed to pay withholding tax, which is 6%. That's the money that is given to the artist or performing artist. He's supposed to withhold 6%. And then also income tax. All practitioners, you're supposed to file and then pay income tax at the end of the year. But our position is this: let's first make art pay before you do what? Before you come in for taxation. That's our position, as we have built consensus over it, and we have written to CG of URA. We are about to be invited to discuss further. This is our argument. When you look at public entertainment, like for instance, you're giving me Gwanga Muje, that's like 1/10 of the money that you're supposed to be collecting. This sector is so huge. It's made up of over 9 domains. We have music, we have performing arts, we have film and video, we have visual arts and crafts, we have CMOs, we have culture, national heritage, we have software and innovation. All those domains, all those practitioners under there are supposed to be paying tax. This is what we're telling revenue. Come to us, let's tell you how best you can approach the tax issue in us. And then the other thing is this: why only look at public entertainment? We have a lot of people out there who are consuming our goods, our content, and they're not being taxed. Like for instance, we recommended private copy levy. Private copy levy is a PCL, is a form of tax that is levied on gadgets like phones, like computers, like anything that aids in in distributing and consuming of content. When we combined all the gadgets and computed it in one of our consultation meetings with Minister of Finance, we discovered that we can collect over 68 billion shillings, even without going to public entertainment awards, public entertainment shows. And then there's also a report from Bank of Uganda that stipulates that the sector is losing over 320 billions from uncollected loyalties. Loyalties is a form of money that's collected from people who use this content. Now imagine 68 plus 320, that's almost 400 billion. That's what? It's not collected. Actually, there's a presidential directive over like 2 years ago to Minister of Finance to study these issues. I'm very glad to report to the listeners or watchers out there that we have had a couple of meetings with Minister of Finance, which takes also URA, and the PSS team, Mr. Ramadan Ngobi, has promised to study these things because they are working elsewhere in different countries, like Malawi. Malawi is collecting over 200 billions equivalent of Ugandan shillings out of PCL. So if revenue really wants to carry out and get taxes as it's mandated to, we need to talk with them and show them how best they can approach taxing the sector. Like the that's a 10%. The public entertainment, the shows you're seeing here, that's just a 10th of the money they are bound to collect out of the sector. Now
let's look a little bit at filing for returns amongst the proprietors in the industry. Promoters, the event managers, in your assessment, has this been effectively done?
No. I would like to say it point blank, and it's not anyone's mistake, it's not our mistake, it's not government's mistake, that almost 80% of our people are informal. A person wakes up in the morning, they come from Masaka, they enter a studio, they record the song, it goes viral, it becomes a hit. They don't want to know about filing, they don't want to know about paperwork, they don't know about, apart from a few companies right now in terms of production houses, talent agencies, talent management companies, and a few individuals have been able to streamline their business in terms of paperwork and filing. This is exactly what we're telling. This is exactly what we're telling government. In developed countries, we're not different from developing countries. Other developed countries that have because talent is talent. It doesn't need a qualification like a degree or what. You have talent, you're born with talent. So in developed countries, they have a system whereby anyone to be in the market or to operate in the market, you need to have a manager and a talent agent, or a talent agent representing you, a management company representing you. Now, the revenues of those countries go to those companies. They don't go around chasing those individual artists or practitioners or talent. So we need a policy whereby anyone to operate within the market, the creative sector, you need to have those people down there. You can't go in South Africa and you book, let me say, which artist? Let me say Lucky Dube, if he was still alive. You can't go in Nigeria and you just book Rema and you just book Wizkid. You go through their agents and talent agencies. Those are the companies that have the expertise to do bookkeeping, file returns, and show you where they have made losses, where they have made gains, and you're able to tax.
All right. Now, also, furthermore, do you think other potential revenue sources, for example, streaming platforms, YouTube, Spotify, you look at the Ring Back Tune platforms, do you think they should offer effective alternatives for taxes? Should they be considered?
Yeah, they do. Actually, the CRBTs are giving the biggest tax revenue back to government. In 2019, both all telecoms collectively collected 78 billion. Now take off income of that, take off VAT of that, take off. Actually, government took 50% of that money. That's already 35 billion, and that's 2019. Now imagine even 2020, 2023. The streaming platforms pay either the record label or the artist direct. That's why I was telling you that we need to I normally boost my pages and I see VAT being deducted. I don't know about the streaming platform, whether Oslo government has gone there. But what I know about Facebook, anything to do with boosting social media, government is already taxing it. But then streaming platforms, those 17 streaming platforms, Spotify, Tidal, that's the income the artist gets and is supposed to declare, and then at the end of the day pays income tax. They are very variable. Actually, the biggest earners of people in other countries like Nigeria, Tanzania, and Kenya are not out of shows, are out of streams.
Now, lastly,
there's another tax base where government should tax. But our argument still stands. First, make music pay.
Then lastly, what do you think, what measures do you think are missing for the industry to attain a better position for growth and effective taxation to progress?
Before I talk about taxation, let me give you our key four demands. As our advocates say, key demands. We're advocating top of our agenda that let government reinstate a fully fledged arts and culture ministry. It was there and then it was disbanded in 1993. For us, our argument is that then we shall have an entity that's dedicated and purely planning for the sector. Right now, we're scattered in so many ministries, departments, and agencies. You find that film is in UCC, then art is in gender, and then an aspect of tourism, of another art is in tourism. You understand? So let's have a fully fledged ministry that is dedicated to planning for the sector. Let's align copyright. I'm glad to report that the principles have been developed. Copyright is going to be amended, but still let it be popularized. Then 3, financing. Let's have the sector financed. I saw one of your questions, what do you want the arts to be? Do you want it to be funded like sports? Yes, so let's also be factored into the budget. And then last but not least, let's have infrastructures in terms of creative spaces, creative hubs. Countries have shifted away from things like theaters and they are creating hubs. You've seen an example of a creative hub like at Motive, just down here as you're going to Port Bell. Yeah, such creative spaces, they need to have facilities where artists can have access to equipment, space to create, and then internet to access the market. And then the other things that if we are funded, that we want to do as private practitioners of this industry, we want to have to skill our members, so that skill our members and also have access to equipment, to train them for digital inclusion, because the market is there. You can't still depend on 45 million Ugandans when people are being streamed by billions and billions of other people globally. Then 3, we need to do activities, exhibitions, awards, festivals. This helps streamline and create vibrancy and access to the market. And then last but not least, we need to strengthen associations so that they continue streamlining and mobilizing the sector. When I talk about associations, I'm talking about things like UMA, talking about things like National Culture Forum, talking about things like Utama that takes managers, Power that takes audio producers, Nakao that takes visual artists. System like the way you see it at the National Council of Sports. So if funding comes in, those are the 4 aspects we're looking at.
Many thanks for joining us and giving us that insightful discussion, Mr. Emma Carlos. Have yourself a...
It's always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Good evening. All right. And all right, that is Mr. Emma Carlos Molondo, who is a talent manager and, of course, a stakeholder within the entertainment industry in Uganda. Now, briefly, Uganda Revenue Authority does direct all persons earning an income from entertainment activities to get TINs, that is tax identification numbers. Failure is equal to a fine of 3 million and imprisonment of 6,000, and then ignorance of the matter will charge you a penalty of 1 million shillings. Now, artists, performers, authors, producers, promoters, events managers, hotel and bar owners, plus recreational space owners are supposed to be part of the panel. There is also withholding and value addition tax that is required for this particular one, with withholding tax taking 6% on residents, 15% for the non-residents. Now, obligations to the withholding tax is placed on the person making their payments, that is the promoters, the agents, and the event owners. Now, on the other hand, a value-added tax is 18% for entertainment event owners whose annual turnover is equal to 150 million. Now, when you look at, for example, in Kenya, companies are required to register for and file value-added tax returns if their income threshold is in excess of 5 million Kenyan shillings annually. Now, the Music Copyright Society of Kenya and any other rights management organizations should withhold 5% or 20% of the total amount payable. And that's briefly to understand about taxation within Uganda, and then also looking up and trying to see how it is done in Kenya. It's 29 minutes off the hour of 9 p.m. Business Today will continue immediately after the break with more business reports. Stick around.